Alrighty, welcome back, boys and girls. It's your main math man, Mr. Shank, coming to you live from Walker Grant Middle School. Alright, so I wanted to kind of clarify a couple things from yesterday. Uh, there was some confusion about when you're given some order pairs and you're going to the graph, how do we get to the function? And a lot of people were able to, plot out that point. They watched that video, they saw that, hey, okay, I have my 3 steps down, 1 step to the right. So we have our change in y over our change in x is our slope. And so you guys said that our slope is -3. And then wherever that point hits our graph on the y-axis is our y-intercept. So you guys said it was +2. So this is still good, but now you guys just freeze because you don't know what to do now. Once you have this, as soon as you find the slope, as soon as you find that y-intercept, think back to the slope-intercept form notes, which if you forget those, please make sure you go back and watch that video because you already have the answer. Specifically, if the slope is going to be m, so in our case that was -3, and the y-intercept is going to be b, which is 2, then our equation in slope-intercept form will be y equals -3x plus 2. So you literally all you are doing is given these statements or given these graphs that you found, you're able to just switch out the letter for the value and you have your equation. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you guys clarified that from yesterday because a lot of people kind of froze and didn't know what to do. So now, if you're given order pairs and you're trying to now go to the function table, let's try see if we can do this a similar way. So I had set this up in the previous video with the slope-intercept form notes, but I just wanted to give you a more in-depth detail of what you're doing. So again, you're going to have these order pairs, and you already have about 2/3 of this table filled out, right? Because you're given those x and y values, which I have underlined in red and blue accordingly. Again, our x values are the inputs in blue, and our y values are in red, which are our outputs. So again, they have to be an order pair. Just like a pair of socks, you must have an x for every y. So, in here, since you have your x values in order, you can see that, okay, what's the pattern? Each of these steps that you're making, what's happening? Well, from -1 to 0, to be able to do that, I'm going 1 step. So I'm just going +1. And then from 0 to 1 is another +1, and that pattern is continuing. So you're just seeing, okay, hey, what are those patterns that I'm making? So now the same exact thing. Again, the whole idea of this, the whole goal, I'm trying to be able to find my rule. I'm trying to set up my right side of that slope-intercept form equation. Okay, and to remind you, let's actually copy and paste that over. Let's go here, paste it. Okay, so this is our goal. We're trying to get to this form so that way we can have our equation. So right now we're trying to find our slope. So we're trying to find our m. Again, we're looking at that change in x, and then we can look at our change in y. So now in our y values, again, you're looking at the first two. So we have from 5 to 2, you have to go down 3. And then from 2 to -1 is down 3. And then -1 to -4 is down 3. So notice, again, this is, if our staircase, let's see if I can, if this is our staircase, again, we had going down the staircase, you can think of this as your ladder. So you're kind of climbing down the ladder 1 step at a time, making sure that you're pacing yourself. And now that you have that, again, you can just have your slope, which is m, is going to be equal to, like I said before, your change in y divided by your change in x. So again, please make sure that you know that ratio each and every time. We plug in our values that we had, specifically, we had our change in y is -3. So again, we have that repeated pattern. And then our change in x is going to be 1. So we're increasing by 1 each time. So that means -3 divided by a +1 is going to be -3. So now, what do we look for? Well, we have, let's see, let's kind of circle what we got. We have our m, which we just found right here. So now, what do we need? We need our b. So to be able to find our b, again, we're looking for the point where it hits the graph, and mainly the ordered pair is going to have that ordered pair where x equals 0, and wherever the point where x equals 0, it's going to be b. And again, that kind of makes sense too, because again, you're going to have your equation is going to end up being y equals 0 times x plus b. 0 times x is going to be 0, and so you're going to have y equals b, which is exactly what we're saying by this, okay? You're looking for that point where that line hits the graph. And so now, which ordered pair do we have that has the 0 as our x value? Well, we can see it right here. It is 0, 2, which means that this point, 0, 2, or specifically, our b value is going to be 2, which is our y-intercept. So just like yesterday, now that you have your b, you have your x. Excuse me, let's try that again. You have your slope, which is m. You have your y-intercept, that is b. Well, what are you going to do with it? Well, just like yesterday, you're going to say, okay, if the slope is -3, that's going to be your coefficient, and your y-intercept is +2. We're going to have a +2 at the end. So our slope-intercept form is still the same. Again, make sure you're seeing how we're able to do this. You're able to go down that ladder anytime. If you need to pause, go back, refresh yourself, please do. Now, what happens, same order pairs, same everything. What happens if, let's say, you are not given, so let's kind of, let's see if we can cover this up real quick. Let's say if you're not given the point, meaning you only have these two ordered pairs. So what can you do for it? Well, maybe let's try to do the same exact thing, and all you're trying to do is say, hey, if we can go down the ladder, maybe we can go up the ladder. So let's see where we're at here. So we're saying we're just given these two pairs, or yes, these two pairs. We have 1 and -1, and then we have 2, -4. So we have our 2 points. Now, again, I said that you can go from 1 to 2 is going to be +1, and then from -1 to -4, you have to go down 3 for that. So since we're going, originally we went, I'll show you the other slide again. We went down the ladder. We went down the ladder to be able to see that pattern. Now, wouldn't we be able to still go up the ladder? But we have to be very careful though, because you have to make sure that you're seeing the correct sign. So let's try and see, okay, we're trying to get 0 as our x value. And so we're gonna try to get 0 as our x value. So we need to go up from 1 to 0. And how would you go from 1 to 0? Well, you're gonna have to take away 1. So now our change in x is gonna be -1, and our change in y is gonna be +3. So it still gives you that same amount. So let me actually write this out. We still have our change in y over our change in x. Again, that's going to be our slope. So we have a +3 and a -1. again, still gives you the same result of our slope of -3. So we're not changing anything, we're just looking at this a little bit differently, getting some perspective on this. So since we can go now up the ladder, we're able to find any point that we need to have. So if you're unsure about how to find that y-intercept, and you're not given that point, again, you can have it by just going up that ladder. So make sure you ask questions, make sure you're kind of following along and being able to understand this. Please do clarify, replay, go over, have the sound on, help others out, and as always, slam that subscribe button.